Chapter 9, Dachnik Day and an all-earth holiday. Quote, but why Russian Dachniks in particular? What's the connection? Quote, you see, Vladimir, even though the earth is very large, it is very, very sensitive. Quote, think of how big you are by comparison with a tiny mosquito. And yet, when a mosquito lands on you, you feel it through your skin. And the earth also feels everything. When people pave it over with concrete and asphalt, when they cut down trees and burn the forests growing on it, when they pick and poke at its innards and sprinkle it with powder called fertilizer, it feels the hurt. And yet it still loves people as a mother loves her children. And the earth tries to absorb into its depths all humanity's anger. And only when it no longer has the strength to hold it back, that anger explodes in the form of volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. The earth needs our help. Tenderness and a loving attitude give it strength. The earth may be large, but it is most sensitive, and it feels the tender caress of even a single human hand. Oh, how it feels and anticipates this touch. There was a time in Russia when the earth was deemed to belong to everyone, and therefore nobody in particular. So people did not think of it as their own. She's referring to communism. Then changes came in Russia. They began giving out tiny private plots to people to go with their dachas. It was no coincidence at all that these plots were extremely small, too small to cultivate with mechanized equipment. But Russians, yearning for contact with the earth, took to them with joyous enthusiasm. They went to people both poor and rich, because nothing can break man's connection with the earth. After obtaining their little plots of land, people intuitively felt their worth, and millions of pairs of human hands began touching the earth with love. With their hands, you understand, not with mechanized tools. Lots and lots of people touched the ground caressingly on these little plots, and the earth felt this. It felt it very much. It felt the blessing touch of each individual hand upon it, and the earth found new strength to carry on. Quote, so what now, I queried. Should we erect a monument to every Dachnik as the savior of the planet? Quote, yes, Vladimir, they are saviors indeed. But that would be far too many monuments. I have it. Why not set up a 1 or 2 day national holiday? Dachnik Day or an all-earth day. It could be designated in the calendar. Quote, ooh, a holiday. Anastasia threw up her arms in elation. What a terrific idea indeed. A celebration, a happy and cheerful holiday. That is something we definitely need. Quote, and you, with that ray of yours, you can suggest to our government, to our deputies in the State Duma, that they pass the required legislation. Quote, I cannot get through to them. They are too busy with their daily routine. They have so many decisions to make, they have absolutely no time to think. Besides, there is not much point in my attempting to raise their conscious awareness. It would be difficult for them to accept a complete conscious picture of reality. They are not allowed to make any better resolutions than those they are passing at the moment. Quote, who can stop the government or the president from so doing? Quote, you, the masses, the majority. As for correct decisions, they are what you call unpopular measures. Quote, yes, you're right. We have democracy, The most important decisions are taken by the majority. The majority is always right. Quote, the greatest conscious awareness is always achieved first by individuals, Vladimir. It always takes the majority a space of time to catch on. Quote, if that's true, why do we need democracy referendums? Quote, they are needed to serve as a shock absorber to avoid sudden jerks. When these shock absorbers do not work, revolution occurs. A revolutionary period is always a challenge for the majority. Quote, but a Dachnik day, that's not a revolution. What's wrong with it? Quote, a holiday like that is fine. It's needed, definitely needed. It should be set up as quickly as possible. I shall think about how it can be done as quickly as possible. Quote, I'll help you. I know better which levers to pull in our world for the most effective results. I'll write to the papers. No, better still, I'll write about the Dachniks in that book of yours and ask people to send telegrams to the government and the Duma requesting the establishment of a Dachnik day as an all-earth holiday. Only what date should it be? Quote, the 23rd of July. Quote, why the 23rd? Quote, it's an appropriate day also because it's your birthday, Vladimir. After all, this fantastic idea is all yours. Quote, that's great. So we'll ask people to send telegrams asking for legislation setting up the 23rd of July as Dachnik Day and an all-earth holiday. And as soon as the telegrams start arriving at the Duma and people begin to wonder why people are sending them, you burst in with your ray. Quote, burst in I shall. I shall burst in with all my might, and it will be a fine, bright, and beautiful holiday for everyone. Everyone will have such a good time, and the whole earth will rejoice in its light. Quote, why does everybody have to have a good time? This holiday's only for Dachniks, isn't it? Quote, we must see that everyone has a good time. This holiday will indeed begin in Russia, but then it will become the most fantastic holiday for the world as a whole, a marvelous holiday for the soul. Quote, and how will it be celebrated the first time in Russia? I inquired. Nobody will know what to make of it. Each one's heart will suggest on that day what he should do and how. I can visualize a general outline right now. Then Anastasia began talking, clearly enunciating each word. She talked with speed and inspiration. It was all most extraordinary. The rhythm of her speech, the arrangement of her phrases, the pronunciation of her words.